Welcome everybody to the 1959 US Championships game between Bobby Dragon Hunter Fischer against GM Samuel Reshevsky, who also needs no introduction. I mean, the guy started playing chess at the age of 4. In a way, Bobby started off with e4, c5 as a Sicilian defense, knight f3, knight c6, d4 striking in the center. We get takes and takes. Here, black could play a host of different openings, such as the Taimanov variation with e6, a knight c6, which could transpose into the Naidoo variation. But in the game, we got g6, the accelerated dragon. Bobby develops the bishop to e3 with a specific reason, which will be revealed in a bit. Reshevsky continues with knight c6, hitting the pawn and playing right into Bobby's hands. We get knight c3, bishop g7, bishop c4, preparing to castle, and we get castle, and Bobby's signature move, bishop to b3, avoiding any knight takes shenanigans. For instance, if you play the move like castles, and you get takes, and then so we get knight to a5, hitting the bishop, which is a mistake according to the engine. We can also see the bar jumping to plus 1.8 in white's favor. We get e5 from Bobby, hitting the knight, and here the engine wants you to take the bishop. In the game we got knight to e8, which is a very ugly blunder, which causes you to lose material. Can you spot the tactic to win material? Bobby does. Bobby goes all out with bishop takes on f7 check. Here, whatever you do, you lose your queen. If you go, for instance, rook takes on f7, just lose your queen. If you go king to h8, same thing, losing your queen. And in the game we got king takes on f7, and we still get the same killer move, knight to e6. Remember earlier on when we said Bobby developed his bishop to e3, yep, to take away the b6 square from the queen. So the queen is trapped. Best move is d takes on e6. Bobby takes the queen. Reshevsky hits the queen with knight to c6. Bobby drops the queen back to d2, and we get takes and castles from Bobby, just getting his king to a safer position. And Reshevsky says, I'm not resigning, I'm playing on, and we get knight to d6. Activating his pieces. Bobby going on a trading spree, as that's what you generally do if you have material. Reshevsky first attacks the queen. Queen to e2 from Bobby, hitting both, hitting the bishop twice and also hitting the knight. So we get takes and takes. And king to g7, getting king to a more safer square. Knight to e4 from Bobby. Bishop to c7 from Reshevsky. And we get knight to c5, attacking the e-pawn twice with only one defender. Reshevsky defends. We get c3, taking away the forward squares from the knight on c6. And e5, getting off the c6 square, which is attacked twice. And now we get a rook to d1, with the rook smiling on an open file. We get knight to d8. Knight to d7 from Bobby, sticking the knight in the opponent's territory and also hitting the rook. You can see rook to c6, hitting the queen. Queen to h4, eyeing the e7 square with a pawn on it, and in attempt to weaken the opponent's king side structure a bit further. So we've got rook defending, knight c5, hitting the rook again, and we got the rook interfering with the queen's attack on the pawn. So Bobby now again hitting the rook, and we get a rook to f4, forking the queen and the knight. But Reshevsky missed this. Queen take on e7 check. We get a rook to f7 and queen all the way back to a3, getting the queen out of danger for the time being. Reshevsky then activates his knight, and we get knight to d6, forcing a trade as it's hitting the rook and bishop at the same time. So we get takes and takes, and bishop to f5, improving the piece and trying to get the other rook into the game as well. We get b4 from Bobby, rook f to f8, connecting the rooks, b5, hitting the knight. Knight doesn't have a forward square, So we get knight back to the 8th rank, rook to d5, and knight f7 activating the knight. Rook to c5, and a6 from Reshevsky, b6, and bishop to e4, defending the backwards pawn. Then we get a rook hitting the bishop. Bishop drops back to c6, connecting nicely with the pawn. And Bobby sacks the rook with rook takes on c6. We get takes. And then pawn to b7 from Bobby hitting the rook. We get rook 8 to b8. Bobby takes the pawn and also defends his own one. We get a knight to b7. So now 2 attackers, 1 defender. Bobby adds a defender to the b7 square. Reshevsky adds another attacker. So now there's 1, 2, 3 attackers and only 2 defenders. And Bobby makes some luft for the king with h3. We get rook takes. Bobby recapturing with check, just getting more pieces off the board. We get rook takes. And with queen to a8, there is now a double attack on the rook and the knight. But Reshevsky resigned in this position. He could have defended the knight with a rook to d7, but his position is just lost. If you'd wonder, the game could have continued as follows. I'll just quickly run through it. We get rook d7, and then Bobby pushing his pawn, getting a check, and the pawn is just running up the board. And you can see it's completely winning for Bobby. But yeah, I guess I'm going to stop here. You guys know what's going to happen, and thanks for watching.